In 10 minutes.
Zach?
That's fine. Make sure the camera's not on when you walk through the field of view.
Wave. Okay, the following is the attitude deposition of Keith Colombo, taken the matter of Joann Matouk, Romain, the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. Case number is 14 CB 12289. It's going to be held in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Michigan, Southern Division, for the Honorable Linda Parker. Today's date is September 25th, 2015. The time is 13:01:39. I'll counsel to introduce yourselves, please.
Solomon Radner on behalf of the plaintiffs. Michelle Romain is seated to my right.
George DeGroot on behalf of the city of Grosse Pointe Farms, Daniel Jensen, Holly Krizmanich, Jack Patterson, Andrew Rogers, Richard Rosati, Michael McCarthy, Keith Colombo, Antonino Trupiano, Jeffrey McQueen, Wesley Kipke, John Walco, Frank Zielinski, Ricky Good.
Gus Morris on behalf of the city of Grosse Pointe Woods, Andrew Pazahowski, John Kosanke, John Ross, Keith Wazak, and Anthony Shalhoub.
Officer, if you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And this is sworn.
I can reflect that this is a deposition of Officer Colombo, right?
Correct.
Taken pursuant to notice and will be used for all purposes permitted by the rules. Sir, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Keith Colombo, C-O-L-O-M-B-O.
And where are you employed, please?
City of Grosse Pointe Farms, Department of Public Safety.
How long have you been employed there?
14 years.
What is your job title?
Public Safety Officer.
How long have you been a public safety officer?
15 years.
Have you ever been promoted?
No.
So you've been a public safety officer from day one
That's
until today, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You were here for the prior deposition, true?
Yes.
So you heard all the rules and the preliminary things that were said about asking and answering and objections and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Do you recall being served with interrogatories in this case?
Yes.
Well, actually, before I get to that, can you please take us through your training for a moment? Take us through from all the training that you had relative to being a police officer, please.
I attended the Macomb Police Academy in August of 2000, the Macomb Fire Academy in May of 2001. January of 2001, I was employed with the City of Centerline Department of Public Safety. November of 2001, I was employed with the City of Grosse Pointe Farms Department of Public Safety. And in that time, I've attended approximately 20 to 30 in service or out of service training, MCOs approved.
And each of those trainings that you attended, did you receive a certificate of some sort?
Most of them, yes.
Ever take any classes on canines or dogs?
No.
Do you recall being served with interrogatories in this case?
Yes.
Do you recall answering them?
Yes.
When you answered them, did you review them prior to signing them?
Yes.
Did you indeed sign the signature page?
Yes.
And when you signed them, were you affirming that all the answers to those interrogatories were and are true?
Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections or deletions that you'd like to make at this time?
No.
So you're satisfied that all the answers to all of those interrogatories are true?
Yes.
I'm going to bring your attention to January 12, 2010. At that point in time, you discovered a 2008 Lexus that was parked in the driveway at St. Paul's Church, correct?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me about that? Were you, how did you come upon this car?
It was on one last patrol of the south side of the city, we call it, which is the furthest south point, which is Lakeshore Drive. One last patrol of that area of the city before my shift ended.
And when you're on these patrols, where do you typically go and what do you typically look for?
I go, at that time, we were assigned particular areas of the city to patrol, And during those travels, throughout our patrols, it's our responsibility to search for suspicious persons, suspicious vehicles, anything that may be out of place.
And how long had you been doing such patrols?
Since the start of my employment here.
From the start of your employment, strike that. What is it that drew your attention to this particular vehicle?
It was a lone vehicle in the driveway of St. Paul.
And that, in your opinion, was suspicious?
It wasn't suspicious, it was concerning.
What was concerning about it, please?
The time of year, the temperature outside, the time of night.
Are there any lights on in the church?
There's perimeter lights around the church.
Were there lights on in the church, though?
Inside?
Yeah.
No, not that I observed.
Okay. Well, were there windows that you were able to observe whether or not there were lights on or off?
The church wasn't my main focus that night.
Well, if the lights had been on in the church, would you have still considered this vehicle to be concerning?
Sure.
What time was it that you first observed this vehicle?
It was approximately 9:52 to 9:53 p.m.
9:52 to 9:53 p.m. And do you know if anybody else in your department had previously seen that vehicle earlier that night?
Prior to my seeing it, no.
Roger didn't see it earlier that evening?
He testified that he did see it earlier that evening.
Did he tell you that that wasn't true?
No, he did not tell me that that wasn't true.
Okay, so I may have not understood your answer, but what I asked you before was if you know if any other officers observed that vehicle before.
That particular night, no. I did not know if any other officers observed
You
that.
don't know, okay. I thought you were answering no officers had seen it, okay.
No.
So Officer Rogers observed this same vehicle at the same place, and is it fair to say that he was not as concerned as you were?
Sure, that's fair to say.
And what actions did you take that he did not take?
I decided to check the interior of the vehicle to see if there's anybody seated inside or around in the area on St. Paul's church property.
Okay, and what did you observe?
Just a lone vehicle that was parked unoccupied.
Okay, take us through what's going through your mind now. You see a vehicle that's unoccupied in the parking lot of a church, right?
Right.
What's going through your mind right now?
There's somebody most likely down by the water's edge.
Why is that the first thing that enters your mind?
Because that area of Lakeshore, all the streets that intersect Lakeshore, if there's any parked vehicles that are in that area day or night, most of the time, people that exited those vehicles go down to the water's edge.
Now, when you say most of the time, how many other times had you observed such a situation where somebody was down by the water's edge?
Daily.
So daily you would see cars parked in the church parking lot?
Church parking lot, side streets adjacent or intersecting Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, let's talk about the church parking lot. How often, before this particular evening, had you seen a car parked in the church parking lot at night when somebody was down by the water in the winter?
Very frequently.
Very frequently?
Yes.
Okay, and so you would say that it's typical for you when you see a car parked at this particular place, at this particular church parking lot, to go down to the water and check and see who's there?
No, that is not typical.
Okay, so can you explain to me why is it in this particular case you look down by the water?
Sure, I did already because of the time of day, which was late at night, the temperature, because it was cold, and there was no other vehicles or anybody else around.
You didn't think that somebody just got a ride with somebody else and left their car at the church?
They certainly could have.
So is it fair to say that anytime you would see a vehicle parked at this particular church parking lot, the next logical step would be to check by the water?
If that's the approach that I would take or another officer would take, sure.
So you walk down to the water, what do you observe there?
I didn't walk down to the water.
Okay, what did you do after you observed this vehicle? What's the next thing you did?
I illuminated the interior of the vehicle with a spotlight on my scout car. I ran the license plate of the vehicle before I got out of my scout car and approached the vehicle.
And then,
After I got out of my scout car, I walked up to the vehicle with a flashlight, verified by illuminating the interior that there was nobody either seated or laying down inside the vehicle.
how did you run this vehicle through LEIN?
I had a mobile data computer inside my scout car.
When you run a license plate through LEIN on your mobile data, what's it called?
MDC, in-car computer.
All right. When you run a vehicle through, or license plate through LEIN on your vehicle, is there a record that's made somewhere?
It's not through the vehicle. It is time-stamped through the state that I ran, but not in the vehicle.
So the state would have a record of this LEIN being done?
Yes.
And have you seen that record anywhere?
No.
Do you know if such a record exists?
I do not know.
I'm going to hand you a stack of documents that your attorney mailed to me. Starting with this cover letter. I want you to take a look through that, and I'm going to ask you two things to look for. I'm going to ask you to look for a record of the LEIN check that you ran at 9:53, or another thing I want you to look for is any record that's the result of a LEIN check that was done inside of the patrol car, if there's any way to identify it that way.
You have one inside this packet you identified.
And which one is that, please?
This is a query by Lieutenant Rogers, which shows a unit number, or a designation number of 0032, which is a designation number for our supervisor.
And what time was that LEIN check run?
22:44:05,
Which is what time in layman's terms?
10:44 p.m.
And how do you know that that was run from his vehicle or in-car computer?
Well, this appears to be a response from the state of Michigan in regard to Lieutenant Rogers' use of the LEIN system. And listed on here is date, time, the information that was checked, which was a Secretary of State query of a driver's license number, and Lieutenant Rogers' scout car designation, which is 0032.
So if I would do a similar search for your name, I would most likely get back the 9:53 check that you did, correct?
I'm assuming so, yes.
Can I see that, please?
Read that.
There is a query on here. This is from...
There's no question that's been asked. Can you present my documents back? last page of this document, your lawyer emailed to me, your lawyer mailed to me on September 9th, 2015. There's an affidavit from Liz Canfield dated April 2nd, 2015. I'd like you to take a look at that, please. Take a moment to read through it. Now you'll notice that what time is the first time that an inquiry was run on this particular license plate?
2058.
Do you know who ran that lane check?
It does not have that listed down here.
Do you know if any action was taken as a result of that lane check being run?
No.
Do you know if Michelle Romain or Kelly Romain was notified of anything as a result of that particular lane check being run?
No.
All right, go on to the next one. Do you see somewhere there the inquiry that you were referring to that you ran at 9:53?
Yes.
Okay. And are there any in between the one that was run at 8:52, is it?
858.
And the one that you ran at 9:53?
There's one inquiry, which is a driver's license number inquiry, 2059.
At 20:59. And what driver's license number is it that was run at 8:59?
Robert 550-603-585-020.
Do you have any idea whose driver's license number that is?
No, I do not.
What was the number again?
R 550-603-585-020.
Do you know if that particular lien check has anything to do with Joann Matouk Romain's disappearance?
No.
Okay. Read that back, please. I'm going to mark this entire thing as an exhibit, this entire packet.
Well, I object to my correspondence to you being marked as an exhibit.
Fair enough. I'll stick that part. Can we cross this
Pull
off?
that off. Just pull it off. It'll come up. Is that exhibit one?
This is Colombo Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages. Unless there's an objection, what I'd like to do at this time is get these photocopied and stapled together so that we can all be looking at the same thing at the same time. Any problems with that?
No, I'm off the record.
No, your time is 13:20, we're now off the record. Sorry. How many copies?